The Apple desktop will look like this when you get your MacBook Air. And one thing that we want to start with is system preferences. So system preferences can be found in the Apple menu. That's in the top left corner. So you're going to click on your Apple and then you're going to select system preferences. This is a lot like your control panel or all those settings that you used to go to for those things that you wanted to customize, like desktop and that kind of stuff on your Windows device. I know many of you are coming to us from the Windows environment. So this is where you would customize your Mac. We're only going to show you a couple of things now. We'll come back to it a little later, but please know it's a fun place to spend your time so you can really make your Mac your own. The first thing I'm going to have you do is search for the word trackpad because you're going to be on that trackpad a lot. So we want to make sure you know kind of how it works. So I love the way that Apple highlights that for you when it finds it. So I'm going to click on trackpad. And it's going to take us to the trackpad settings. So the very first thing I want you to do is click on this point and click tab. And then under that, we are going to see secondary click. Now, many of you probably refer to the secondary click as a right click because on the Windows devices that we had here in Keller, we had a left and a right button under our trackpad. And so anytime you wanted that secondary click, you would right click. So, or most of you. So on the Mac, you don't really have that. You can see that here on the screen that it's showing a little video that it's just really one big button. So the right click, if I click under that, there's a little menu that pops out. That menu allows me to choose what I want to do for the secondary click. So many of you are going to want to choose click in the bottom right corner. And so when I click that, it shows me on the video that I literally need to take my finger and point to the bottom right corner to right click. So it's kind of like there's an imaginary line and you just have to imagine it and make sure you're in the right spot. Some of you might want to choose this one, which is click with two fingers. I'll show it to you real quick. That will give you a secondary click. So just choose the one that you like. And then what's fun about the Mac, there's no save button. But while we're here, I don't want to forget this. There is an option that's force, click, and haptics feedback. We're going to ask you to turn that off for now because it adds additional features. However, sometimes it can kind of mess us up as we're doing some dragging and dropping, and we don't want that to happen. So uncheck that. Do your secondary click. And then what we're going to do next is click this back arrow kind of to the left of the trackpad area. That takes you back to where we were before. I'm going to click the X to close out of that search. And then I'm seeing all of my system preferences. Okay, so we went into trackpad. Now we're going to go into general. So it's that top left area. The general section does just what it says. It has some general settings that you may want to change. Of course, there's a lot of interesting ones here, but for time's sake, I'm just going to show you one of my favorites. Whenever I get a new Mac, I always choose always under the show scroll bars section. So choose always, and you may feel a little more comfortable in your Mac environment. When you're in a window, let's say a web page on your browser, and it's really long and you need to scroll, it always shows you that scroll bar when you need it. So sometimes there's other options, but I think that will make you feel a little more at home in your Mac environment. Now, there's no save button here either. So we're just going to click the close, but before we click it, let's talk about that. In the top left corner, you'll see the close X, the red close X button. And most of the windows are set up very similarly. There's a close button. Now, I know if you're coming from the Windows environment, you're used to it being on the top right. That's going to be a shift in your thinking. So you're going to have to remember that now it's on the left. Notice next to that, there's a yellow circle with a minus sign. That's your minimize. So if I clicked on that, it would take it down to the dock and minimize it. And I'm going to pull it back up. And then some windows have a full screen button, which would be green. This particular one, it doesn't really have a full screen option, so it's grayed out. But for other windows that have that, you would click that. I'm going to have you close the system preferences window and go back to the desktop.